Shalom, family. Shalom to everybody in the chat. You know, opioids actually have not gone anywhere. It has not gone anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. And as, the virus was getting bad, the overdose deaths never left. They were skyrocketing actually all through 2020 and even this year. It has not gone anywhere. It just kind of got pushed in the background because because of the virus. And I hope, did any of you go over to my community tab to see what I posted? Did anybody go over there? Did anybody see what I posted in the community tab? Because YouTube is all butt sore and won't let you post anything about the virus. So whenever it's a big story, I'll post it over on the community tab. And if you went over there, then you know what it says about what's going on. And there's something rapidly spreading in the country. Get over there and look at the story I posted. Thank you, Justin March, for the super sticker. Thank you very much. Yes. And they said it is spreading rapidly everywhere in the country. We knew it was going to end up here. Whenever they opened up the floodgates for travel, I mean, people are going to travel, and look at how many East Indians live in America. There's a lot of them that live over here. So, they're going to go home and come back with it, or you're going to have people going on business trips over there and bringing it back. We heard about it being here back in April, in May. So it should not be a surprise. So I don't know what they're going to do, because they already said the jab does nothing when it comes down to that particular virus. So America got a challenge on their hands. This is what you get for opening your country back up. So let's go ahead and hold on. Let me just get this all set up here so we can get started. Okay. Yeah, I think we all knew this was going to happen. We all knew this was coming, But, these folks, they are not built to have patience. They're not built for that. So even as this thing gets bad, you're going to still see them whine and complain about doing what they want, because that is their nature. You got to understand, they're very different from us. So they're going to do a lot of things like we saw back in 2020 that's not going to make any kind of common sense. They're not. It's not going to make any sense. And they're going to do it all through this virus that's here. Yeah. So don't expect anything that they do or say to make any common sense, because it won't. So the best thing, ladies and gentlemen, do whatever you can to keep yourself safe and stay away. Keep yourself as separated as possible, if you know what I mean. Okay. Miguel, how come you don't know how to spell? I am different form you. I am white form you. See, that's the problem with people like you. You have no common sense, and you think you're saying something intelligent. But see, y'all, that's what a high IQ, that's how far a high IQ will get you. I am different form you. I am white. Ooh, Miguel, you must have went to a school in the high IQ community. That's all I got to say. Let's move on, y'all. Let me share my screen. Hold on one second. Okay. All right, let's move on now. Let me share. Please give me a 1 if you can see my screen. Please give me a 1. Okay. Thank you. And thank you, Willie Rivers, for the super sticker. Thank you so much. How you doing, Tareen? Okay. Now, this article came out in the Washington Post, but it's on Yahoo News. That's where it came from. Opioid deaths surged during coronavirus pandemic in DC, Virginia, and Maryland. So Mary's Center, community health center with locations in Washington, D.C. and Maryland. This is where it started its addiction program in 2015, offering medication-assisted treatment. We know about the naloxone. Well, they actually give training on how to use naloxone counseling and a weekly recovering support group. So over the past 5 years, just 4 of their 600 patients overdosed and died. But the figure more than doubled in 2020 with 10 fatalities. A clinic that attributes the challenges of isolation during the virus pandemic lockdown and the still growing prevalence of the deadly synthetic fentanyl. So fentanyl, from what I understand, y'all, has not slowed down one bit in coming into the country. It's more than ever coming into America. It's awful to see because most of it has actually been patients that were really stable, and they've been stable for long periods of time, sober for over a year. So those patients are now falling off the bandwagon. I can think of 4 people specifically that have been sober for over a year and then relapsed and died within 2 weeks of their relapse. Yeah, because you know what? I can understand how that happened because during the lockdown, many of these rehab places, especially when they just had people just come in and they weren't actually staying there for rehab, but they were coming on a weekly basis, many of them didn't have nowhere to go because even those rehab centers were locked down. So when they don't have nowhere to go, what are they going to do? They're going to go back to the street drug. And that's what happened. The center experienced just a slice of what it provides in the DC area and the country at large saw last year. Fatal opioid overdoses increased 46% in the District of Columbia in 2020, according to city data, despite a pre-pandemic pledge by DC. Mayor Muriel Bowser to cut opioid deaths in half between late 2018 and the fall of last year. Virginia recorded 2020 as its deadliest year ever for opioid-related fatalities, according to preliminary data, with a 47% increase compared to 2019. Maryland saw a 19% jump in fatal overdoses involving opioids, according to preliminary data, with increases of 54.9% in Prince George's County and 25% in Montgomery County. Although nationwide 2020 data won't be available until later this year, health researchers predict at least a 27% jump in fatal overdoses compared to 2019. Remember, the data is always a year behind. So you won't hear about 2021 until 2022. Okay. Okay, so a 27% jump in fatal overdoses compared to 2019, which would be the largest single year percentage increase in the past 2 decades. Experts say a major factor was the pandemic, which left many isolated from treatment as well as family and friends, even as jobs dried up and schools went online. Exactly. They had nowhere to go. They couldn't get treatment during the lockdown because those centers were locked down as well. I mean, you got to sit with your counselor or whoever's counseling you through your drug addiction. And those places are not designed for social distancing, because you got to have a waiting room for these people and then they got to sit by the desk of the people that are counseling them. It's very difficult to social distance when you're trying to help a drug addict. So many of these facilities were closed and they had nowhere to get counsel. That's why so many just decided to run back to the streets and buy the drugs. And that's what happened. Okay, this whole pandemic has been routine breaking and taking away the connections people once had, which are vital for people who are in recovery. Mhm. The isolation and not being able to be around people just wears down the ability of a person to connect. Federal authorities tried to ensure people had access to opioid use disorder treatment during the pandemic related lockdown, waiving some in person medical evaluations, for example. Health experts and the American Medical Association hope those changes stay in place once the public health emergency ends. Okay. DC health officials say they are evaluating which changes put in place during the pandemic ought to be permanent, noting the importance of medical check ins before people get access to medication assisted treatment. We have to be very careful, obviously, when you're distributing powerful drugs to counteract the effects of opioid use. And so the Department of Behavioral Health is examining that question, said Wayne Turnage, deputy mayor for the Health and Human Services. There were 411 fatal overdose deaths in the district in 2020 compared with 281 in 2019. According to an April report from the DC Chief Medical Examiner Office, the majority of people dying from drug overdoses were between the ages of 50 and 69. Wow. 50 and 69. So the majority weren't even young people. Ward 8 of the city's poorest saw the highest number of overdose deaths with 74 in 2020 compared to 59 in 2019. The data illustrates the failure of a key component of the district Live Long DC program launched in late 2018 after the Washington Post investigation found the city was slow to respond to overdose crisis. So, wow, it seems like when they can't, I guess, be around people, they're seeking out drugs even more, you know? But I tell you what, these addicts got some determination because even when everything was locked down, they were able to still access drugs. They were still able to get drugs. Mm-mm-mm. Okay, so the number of fatal cocaine overdoses increased by 33% in Virginia in 2020, although they are still far outnumbered by the deaths attributed to opioids. Fatal overdoses attributed to heroin decreased by 6.8% from 2019 to 2020, according to the state's latest report. In Maryland, the capital region, which includes Montgomery, Prince George's, and Frederick counties, reported a 32% increase in opioid-related fatalities in 2020 compared to 2019. Prince George's had the highest growth, with 158 related fatal overdoses in 2020 compared to 102 in 2019, an increase of 54.9%. Montgomery County saw a 25.6% increase in opioid overdose deaths from 86 to 108. Opioid related fatalities increase for most people over 55 and for Hispanic people in Maryland, according to state data. Baltimore City continues to have the highest number of overdose fatalities in the state, 954 in 2020 from 851 in 2019. Continued deaths from opioid misuse are heartbreaking, and clearly the corona emergency has made it more difficult for people to access support systems, said Charles Gitlier, a spokesman from the Maryland Department of Health, who credited a statewide response program led by the Opioid Operational Command Center and its partner agencies, which keeping the increase in Maryland below that seen in Virginia and DC. He said the state's racial disparities in overdose task force is currently examining factors influencing increase in deaths in Prince George's, Baltimore, and I guess that's Anne Arundel counties and Baltimore City. So, and I'm sure it's not the only place, but this is the only place that reported it in this news story. But I'm sure it went up all over the country, because think about it. These folks went a long time with no treatment. I think even if they opened up the rehab, they're not going to have the number of people they had before, with so many of them dying during the time of the virus. So opioids, they're going stronger than ever in this country, along with everyone else. It just seems like America goes from bad to worse, y'all. It is just going from bad to worse. That's why, they worry too much about us, and they really need to attend to their own business. It just seems to me they got bigger fish to fry. Thank you, James H., for the super sticker. And Willie Combs, thanks for the super sticker. Thank you. So America got a lot of things going on, but, they have decided to put on this campaign and this propaganda of putting on a happy face and acting like we're in a better place now. We're not. Y'all, the economy, you start reading about the economy. The economy is doing real bad in America. See, when they reopened everything, I think they thought everything was going to just get kick-started immediately. It's not. It's dragging. It's dragging, and it's going to continue to get worse. Wow. So everybody, you know what to do. If you have to work, you do what you got to do to work, and just try to Keep your distance if you can. I know it's difficult in the workplace, but you know, I don't care what America says. America is going to shut down again, y'all. I don't care how much they try to resist it. They are going to lock down again. Now that if you haven't gone to my community tab, please go over there when you're done with this live stream. Just go over there and look at what I posted. There is something going on in America that they are hiding, but I posted what it is in the community tab. So just go over and take a little peek. So everybody, please enjoy the rest of your day wherever you are. And we'll definitely come back and do this again real soon. Shalom, family.